gang rape,
murder,
robberies,
grand theft auto,
hurting others,
corruption of youth,
and jail time.
We're covering it all on today's episode.
This is a Clockwork Orange.
This is Book Talk.
Okay, so today we were talking about Clockwork Orange by Anthony Burgess, and it is taking place in the 1960s, but it portrays the author's vision of the future.
Alex is the main character. He's a 15-year-old boy who is the leader of a gang, and him and his gang commit a lot of acts of violence such as rape and robbery, and he actually rapes two 10-year-old girls and robs a lot of people such as a writer and also an old lady in her mansion, and he does that with his gang and they get caught. And then Alex spends 14 years in prison.
So in prison, he meets a lot of fellow prisoners. They actually end up killing a fellow prisoner, but he takes the blame for it. So because of that, he is selected to be a part of this new treatment, and hasn't been experimented on anybody yet, but it is supposed to cure criminals and prevent them from wanting to act violently in the future. So they show him a lot of very violent and vivid scenes of like people getting murdered, and so every time that he sees somebody getting killed or something really violent and dramatic, he gets really sick and sad about it and just can't really handle it.
And then he eventually gets released from prison, and when he gets home, there's a tenant living there, and so he basically runs away because he feels like he has nowhere to go, and he goes to the home of the writer who he had robbed and beaten up initially, and the writer's name is F. Alexander, and he ends up being the husband of a woman who Alex had raped previously.
So after F. Alexander had heard about the state mistreating Alex by using this new treatment on him, he wanted to use Alex against the government, so he used his associates to lock up Alex in his apartment, and being stuck in this apartment drove Alex insane. He actually even jumped out of the apartment window and tried to commit suicide.
And then he wakes up in a coma in the hospital, and he's in a full body cast, and the government had returned him back to his old state before he was released from prison. We found a quote that's important from the book. "It may be horrible to be good, and when I say to you, I realize how self-contradictory that sounds. I know I shall have many sleepless nights about this. What does God want? Does God want goodness or the choice of goodness? Is a man who chooses the bad perhaps in some ways better than the man who has the good imposed upon him?"
We thought that this was a good quote to use because we think it's a very good representation of all the themes that are constantly being brought up throughout the book, such as violence and good versus evil and corruption. So we thought that this quote not only challenges Alex and questions his views and how he should approach things, but it also questions or makes the reader question things from a philosophical standpoint. So it's really up for interpretation, and we thought it's just a good and accurate quote.
So basically the story ends where Alex, went back to gang life but realized it wasn't for him anymore, and it's not the life he wanted to live. He wanted to have a normal life, and he realized he grew up a lot and wanted to maybe even have a son or a family.
So that concludes our episode today of Book Talk.
Thanks for watching.
Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.